Coming up on Tech News Today, Facebook assassinates text messages, Volvo eliminates the need for a driver, and Steam conquers the living room. All that and more coming up.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Tuesday, December 4th, 2012. Tech News Today is brought to you by ShareFile. Enhance your workflow. Send files of almost any size easily and securely with ShareFile by Citrix. Try ShareFile today. For a 30-day free trial, go to sharefile.com, click the radio microphone, and enter TNT. And by Squarespace, the fast and easy way to create a high-quality website, blog, or online portfolio. For a free trial and 10% off your first purchase on new accounts, go to squarespace.com and use offer code TNT12. And they recently launched a developer platform for complete code control. And by Ring Central. We do everything in the cloud. That's why I love our cloud-based phone system by Ring Central. Zero startup costs, and Ring Central is $20 a month per user. Try it now with a 30-day risk-free trial and buy one desk phone and get a second phone free up to 20 phones. Call 800-543-9980 or visit ringcentral.com and use our promo code TWiT. Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Sarah Lane.
And I'm Jason Howell.
Zach Tarr on vacation for one more day, but we're still going to keep you up to date on the most important stories in the tech world, starting with the top 10 stories of the day in the news fuse. Facebook said Tuesday it will allow Android phone users in India, Indonesia, Venezuela, Australia, and South Africa to sign up for the Facebook Messenger app without needing a Facebook account. Users who don't have a Facebook username can log into the Messenger app with a name and phone number. The app has no fees or ads, and Facebook plans to roll it out in more countries soon.
Time to vote on Facebook's privacy policy changes, which ironically includes whether or not to continue to allow Facebook users to vote on new proposals. Last month, the company proposed changes to its statement of rights and responsibilities and how it shares user info with its affiliates. Users have until 3 p.m. Eastern Time, December 10th, to choose either to adopt the new policies or reject them. But here's the catch. 30% of Facebook's 1 billion users have to vote to make any suggestion on the policies stick, which is around 300 million people. Best of luck with that.
SoundCloud made a splash at Le Web, announcing a new redesign focusing on sharing. The audio sharing site now has a curated discovery page, as well as an algorithm-generated related sounds feature and integration with social networks like Facebook. CEO Alexander Leung believes sound will be bigger than video online. We'll discuss that.
An Austrian group of students, self-titled Europe versus Facebook, a lot of Facebook news today, alleges that Facebook hasn't adapted its privacy policy to meet European data protection law restrictions and will challenge Facebook's privacy policies in Irish court, coincidentally, or not really, where Facebook's European business is based. Max Schrems, an Austrian law student at the University of Vienna who organized the effort, says Facebook's only changed about 10% of what they need to change, and now the group is prepared to take legal action.
Verizon's tightening the purse strings on its wallet, or some such metaphor like that. They're getting cheap. Verizon chief executive Lowell McAdam told Reuters that his company is not interested in buying spectrum from the Dish Network. McAdam also told the audience at UBS Annual Global Media and Communications Conference that Verizon doesn't plan to make more big purchases like the recent acquisitions of Terramark and Hughes Telematics.
If you enjoyed feeding Om-Nom and that wildly popular app Cut the Rope, you'll love the company's new game, Pudding Monsters. At least that's what ZeptoLab CEO Misha Lylan announced at the Web conference today. Basic premise, players will stick together little blobby monsters of pudding and make larger puddings. I like it already. No launch date for the game yet, but 2013 looks to be a big year for ZeptoLab with several new game rollouts, including more Cut the Rope and more Om-Nom.
Steam continues its steady march into your living room. The big picture mode is now out of beta after 3 months and available to any user of the video game management and marketplace software. Big picture makes Steam's interface work better on a big screen, adds compatibility for existing console controllers, and includes a new web browser.
Nokia will get a nice influx of cash by selling its headquarters building at Espoo, Finland. The company will continue to operate there, but it'll be on the basis of a long-term lease through the new owner, Finland-based company Exilion, which paid 170 million euro for the property. The sale is expected to be finalized before the end of the year.
I almost spoiled your news fuse when I said Nokia earlier. I apologize.
It's okay. It was a good little hint to the future.
Tease. It was a tease ad.
Yeah.
Viral post began spreading through Tumblr Monday, posting a critique of bloggers to multiple Tumblr blogs. Security firm Sophos believes the post is spread by encoded JavaScript hidden in an iframe that hijacked Tumblr's reblog function. Anyone who visited an infected page while logged into Tumblr would find the post and the code had been posted to their site. Tumblr has fixed the vulnerability and is cleaning up infected pages.
A massive data theft by a senior IT tech for Switzerland's intelligence service, the NDB, may have compromised secret information on counterterrorism shared by multiple foreign governments like those in the U.S. and Britain. According to anonymous sources, the technician downloaded terabytes of classified material from the Swiss intelligence services servers onto hard drives and then carried them out in backpacks. The suspect allegedly intended to sell the data he stole to other foreign countries.
This episode of Tech News Today brought to you by ShareFile from Citrix. Everyone in business has to deal with the following. You got to email a file that's too big to attach in your email program, or maybe you got to send a confidential file and you want a secure way to do that, or you just need to access a document while you're in the airport. Suddenly somebody wants to make a change and you're like, I need that file. ShareFile can answer all of those problems. ShareFile by Citrix is the all-in-one business solution for sending, sharing, and receiving files of almost any size. It was designed for business and can be customized to meet your company's specific needs. ShareFile stays under your control, so you know your files are secure, and you can manage who has access. You can manage how long. If you're like, look, if they don't get it within a week, I don't want them to have access anymore. You can shut that off, and you can see when they open them. That's the thing that I actually have used to the best effect, because you send people files and oh yeah, I've looked at that. No, you haven't. I got ShareFile. Look at it. Make sure you get to that contract because we need it by Friday. Plus, ShareFile allows you to access files from any computer or mobile device, which can be very handy. That way you know it's secure, but you can still have access to it. Try ShareFile today. Sign up with our special offer, a full 30-day free trial by going to sharefile.com, click on the radio microphone, and enter TNT. Remember, visit sharefile.com and type in TNT. We thank Citrix and ShareFile for their support of Tech News Today. Joining us now to discuss the stories of the day, my co-host from Sword and Laser and co-host of Techzilla on the Revision 3 Network, Veronica Belmont. How's it going, V?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. Thanks for joining us.
Of course.
We've got some good stuff to talk about today. Let's start with that Facebook Messenger thing. Facebook allowing you to sign up with just a name and a phone number in certain countries on Android, but they say they're going to add this to their iOS Messenger app. They're going to roll it out to other countries. And they're not talking about fees or ads at this point. They're just saying we want to spread this out. Now, you don't just get to contact people in Facebook. You can send it to anybody else who's signed up to the Messenger system. And this may be a play for signups. It's obviously a way to get people kind of dipping their toes into Facebook and allowing people who use Facebook to use Facebook Messenger to send their text messages instead of their SMS function on their phone. Is this the inevitable death of SMS? I mean, that's what all these headlines are going to start crowing about. You've got WhatsApp, you've got BlackBerry Messenger, you've got iMessage. What do you think, V? Is this the wave of the future, or is it going to be hard to supplant text messaging?
It's so interesting that SMS and MMS are under siege right now. I think it's a very interesting phenomena that's been going on recently, and it's really solidifying Facebook as a platform going forward, not only just for keeping up with your friends, but staying in touch with them. And I think that making it possible to sign up and talk to your friends just with a phone number and a name really it's a grab for users, but it's also going to make things a lot easier for people, which I kind of hate saying because I don't want things to go all the way into Facebook land, but they're making it a little bit too easy these days. I'm just wondering why. What is it about SMS that is the issue? Why do so many companies feel like it's time for them to take that on? Is it because of the the cross-platform nature of it? Like, are people just trying to find a better way for it to interact between platforms?
Yeah, that's
I think
go ahead, Sarah.
I mean, I think in the case of Facebook, it's sort of like Facebook's. It's a huge social network, right? So if you add some sort of messaging service, well, if someone still doesn't want a Facebook account, maybe they'll never use it. But now if you drop the requirement to be sort of part of the Facebook ecosystem, you can truly use it as an SMS alternative. There's still a bigger probability that then if I'm using this service by Facebook, that I'll end up using some of the other services that they want to roll out. You know, it's funny. I actually just earlier today, I went across the street and bought a little micro SIM for my iPhone 5 because I wanted some sort of a data plan that was better than what Verizon was going to give me since I'm roaming in France. And it's all very complicated, and it depends on where you go and what carrier you're going to work with. But this happened to me exactly today. So I put in the new SIM, I got my data plan up and running, but it required me to, also have a new phone number. So all of a sudden, people are texting me, and now their names associated, my contacts are broken, and my texts aren't going through. And it's like I kept saying to, like, I'm DMing people saying, "Are you on Facebook Messenger? Can we just do that forever so that we don't ever have to think about how SMS sometimes doesn't work when things get complicated when you're in when you're roaming in another country." So yeah. I just think it's just so much easier. It's like if everything just goes to data, then when you have the data connection, you're good to go.
I think the big thing is having like that unified contact list. There's so many different apps out there right now that are doing this kind of thing. But the problem is that if all of your friends aren't using that app, you don't have the ability to get in touch with them, or you have to send them a text message saying, "Hey, join GroupMe," or join whatever. But with Facebook, you have that expectation that most people are on Facebook, unfortunately, for better or for worse. And so it gives you that kind of unified contact list that you can get from anywhere, no matter what device you're on.
And the ability to send from Facebook to an actual regular phone number has been around for a while. So it's that cross-platform that I think is key to somebody winning this game. Now, instant messaging has not become entirely cross-platform, and it's still working fine on the desktop, but it hasn't had the uptake. SMS has the advantage of anybody with a phone number can use it as long as they've got a phone that's capable of text messaging and they've paid for a plan. The downside is you got to pay for that plan. Why do you have to pay for a text messaging plan? So I think if you can do a cross-platform app that says you'll still be able to get a message to anybody in your list. There's one guy in the chat room just now who's like, what happens when I've got a feature phone that doesn't have Facebook Messenger on it, and all of a sudden nobody can text message me anymore? I can't text message them because they're all on Facebook Messenger. I know that Facebook does Facebook apps for non-smartphones.
Well, so does something like GroupMe as well. I mean, it's that ability to use it on all different sorts of devices, including your desktop even, which unfortunately Facebook also gives you the ability to do. So it's about finding that kind of platform that's simple enough to use, isn't going to eat up your text messaging minutes or text messaging data stuff, and has a unified contact list that makes it super simple to find everyone you're trying to communicate with.
Now, one thing I want to happen is self-driving cars. Actually had very nice people on the road this morning on my way into work. But Sarah, Volvo thinks they can get them to us pretty quickly.
Yeah. In fact, Volvo is saying, listen, if all goes well and we're in the testing stages now, we will have driverless cars on the road by 2020. And the reason that Volvo is pushing so hard for this is Volvo has had a reputation for years and years. I remember when I was a teenager and everybody's getting their first hand-me-down cars, all the parents wanted the kids to be driving Volvos because they've been thought of as the safest cars. That's a reputation that's certainly been ingrained in my mind ever since I was a kid. Company says, the reason that most accidents happen is because of bad drivers. Drivers are not paying attention, or they're busy, or there's, something you miscalculate. So if you can get the drivers out of the equation, everybody is just safer. So that's where driverless cars come in. They're already testing this. In fact, Volvo's been working on some testing in Spain, where Volvo cars have reached autonomous speeds of 53 miles per hour in traffic in long distances. Now, they say by about 2014, the initial batch of self-driving cars that people might actually see out and about would only reach maximum speeds of about 31 miles per hour. So this is, city commuting and that sort of thing. This is not highway yet, unless, I don't know, we want to start reserving the slow lane for the driverless cars. What's very, very fascinating to me and also very scary about this is that the main technology behind this, okay, so how's it all going to work, is wireless internet. So basically, if I've got a car and Veronica has a car and Tom has a car and we're all going in the same distance and we're relatively close to each other on the road, our cars are talking to each other. Where are you? What's your proximity to me? Are you to the left, to the right? How fast are you going? All of that information is being communicated between cars. So that makes sense as long as that connection stays really, really stable. When I see wireless internet, I'm like, yeah, well, you know, depending on where you are, that would be great, right? So obviously that's something that they're going to have to make sure is extremely solid, and that's what the testing phase is all about here. But does this make sense to you guys? Does that seem like where, you know, does Volvo have enough time to say in about 8 years we might have this dialed based on wireless internet?
That seems a little bit, I don't know. I don't know if 8 years is going to happen. And also, I don't know what I trust less, technology or people sometimes. So I don't know if I want to put my car safety into the hands of a Wi-Fi connection. But yeah, that seems a little soon-ish to me. What do you guys think?
I thought this sounded soon too when I first read this. But then I realized, okay, well, wait a minute. Having a few cars available in 2014 might be possible in a limited situation in states like Nevada and California, for instance, that have these licenses for testing. And so if that's kind of what they mean, if they're sort of trumpeting 2014 because it sounds really impressive, but what they mean is like, we'll have some cars on the road. Doesn't mean you'll be walking down to the Volvo dealership and anybody can just walk in and get one, because it's going to take a while. You have to have critical mass for this to make sense. You know, for me to love the self-driving car, I want to actually be able to know that other self-driving cars are on the road, because that's where you get the advantage. The advantage comes from, you know, because the disadvantage to people driving is that they don't drive efficiently. Everybody drives at different speeds and they're in the wrong lane and all of that. Self-driving cars would take that out of the equation and improve overall safety and efficiency.
So what happens when you're in that crossover time when you've got some self-driving cars and some regular cars on the road? Like if the cars can't speak to each other, won't that affect its efficiency?
Well, and that's why the Google self-driving car doesn't work just on that Wi-Fi thing. It says we're going to sense everything else around us. So they're going to have to do that as well. They can't rely solely on Wi-Fi, especially like you said, Veronica. My experience with Wi-Fi doesn't give me a lot of faith in putting the entire car in its hands.
And think of someone in the chat room said, think of what happens if they start loading tons of crapware onto your car, bloatware.
Oh, yeah.
Then what happens? And what happens if you get a virus in your car? I mean, there's so much that could go wrong and your life is at stake. It's that kind of stuff. I mean, it's one thing to have a bug get on your computer. It's another thing to have it affect your car. We've already been talking about that for a few years because so many cars are getting these systems built into them that can be affected. But it's scarier to think that it could actually be driving you and then decide it doesn't want to work anymore. Yeah. So these are the things I think about. And I know obviously there's smarter people than me working on this kind of problem as well. But it's like the basic issues at stake that make me a little bit nervous. People getting viruses while driving is dangerous as well, frankly. brain there's
virus.
That too. Are you talking about the zombie apocalypse now?
Well, there's also that. That's a very important point to raise.
Just making sure.
Take a break and thank our other sponsor for today's show, Squarespace.com, the fast and easy way to create a high-quality website, blog, or online portfolio. For instance, if you were wanting to create a website around, I don't know, say a science fiction and fantasy book club that you do videos and podcasts around, you might want to use Squarespace.com. That's what we use for Sword and Laser. And Squarespace gives website users a great mobile experience. The new Squarespace 6, which we're in the middle of transitioning to, existing users can take advantage of it. But when you sign up for a new account on Squarespace, you can take advantage of those mobile responsive designs. It actually resizes images. Any image you upload, resizes it across platforms, across mobile platforms, so that if somebody's looking on a phone, they're looking on a tablet, they're looking on a desktop, your site looks right. And then the template adjusts itself as well. So this is really cool. Plus, they've got this new developer platform. If you really want to get in under the code, you can take advantage of that. They've got all kinds of new tools, all kinds of new fun stuff. Squarespace integrates all your website needs: domains, design, development, hosting, customer support. If you don't want to have to think, if you just want to concentrate on your message, go check out Squarespace.com, and you can do it absolutely free. A free trial at Squarespace.com doesn't require you to know anything except an email address where they're going to confirm that that's you, so you can have a login for it and keep everybody else out. And then you can try it. You don't have to give them a credit card, nothing. If you like it, Then, and you're going to purchase the service, use the offer code TNT12 and get 10% off your first purchase on new accounts. That's squarespace.com. Use that offer code TNT12. Everything you need to create an exceptional website at squarespace.com. We thank them for their support of Tech News Today. Hey, you know what I like? I've been using it for a long time. It's actually how I discovered the Decemberists was Last FM, because I saw that my friend Veronica was listening to them. I'm like, who's that?
We have so many things we can call back to now on the show. Right? It's fun.
But the Last FM founders are up to something new, Sarah.
Yeah, it's really cool. At least the idea is really cool. And I was a Last FM lover as well. You know, I don't have a good reason why I stopped paying attention to it. It's not really because it got sold. But anyway, Last FM, the founders have a new project called Lumi. It's completely self-funded, at least right now. Felix Miller and Martin Stixel have put together what they say is like Last FM, but for the web at large. So as Last FM was like, okay, you tell me your music listening history. As you move along, we, as a service, will give you suggestions based on what you like, so that you have good suggestions and it's music genres that you're going to be interested in. And yes, there's a social element and all of that stuff. Lumi is the same idea, but it's for your browsing history. So it's everything. It's music. It's videos. It's images. It's articles. It's pretty much what you're interested in as you live your life online. And this is going to be based via a browser extension. So you could star things. You could make that a public or a private thing. And I know some of you are saying, well, privacy, my browser history, that's my data. Why would I ever want to share that with any company, even if they could suggest new sites to me based on what I like? The company has explained in a blog post, and by the way, this is still a closed beta, I guess you could call it. You can sign up with an email address, but I wasn't able to get access just by signing up, at least not yet. Blog post explains you can be anonymous, completely anonymous if you want to be. So you're recording the pages you visit, but it's secure. All of your history gets combined with all of the other folks that are using Lumi at the same time. So you get a big anonymous pool of suggestions. Lumi, not to be confused with Lumia. I was making that mistake earlier. The company says your browsing data is never visible to us. It's never visible to anybody else. Your list of URLs, that's all secure. So yeah, I guess you kind of have to go forward believing that that's true. But besides that, what do you folks think of this idea? You've kind of got for anybody who's watching the video version of the show, you kind of got a little bit of a Pinterest type look. These are suggestion sites based on what I might like. If this was my browsing history that Lumi was pulling from at this point, and it certainly looks nice. It looks like the way a lot of the web looks these days, but. I like the stumble-upons. I like the Zeits. That's an iPad app that gets better with news article suggestions based on how what you tell it you like and how you read along. Does this seem like something that you would use as a browser extension? What about you, Veronica?
Possibly. I'm getting a little bit tired of that layout right now. I feel like every website is doing the Pinterest style layout, and I'm not sure exactly what's that appealing about it, but I guess it's okay.
It's tiles. It's awesome.
My problem is that, I do so much other kinds of research and web browsing for work-related stuff, and I have a feeling that a lot of people out there do too, that I don't always want something to be tracking my movements because it's not actually what I'm interested in. It's just what I have to be looking at. So I'm concerned that those kinds of recommendations are going to be a little bit off for a lot of people, which is fine. And also, we have so much stuff tracking us already. I don't love the idea of adding one more thing to that list.
I'm intrigued by this. I have to say, Last FM worked really well, and so I would like to see how this works. Because I'm like you, Veronica. I'm a little skeptical that it's going to find the right things based on my browsing patterns. But we always think we're harder to track and serve than maybe we are. So I'd be curious to see how it worked. As far as privacy goes, Lumi's doing the right thing by being extra careful to say we're going to encrypt things, we're going to lock it down, we're going to not share this data, we're just going to anonymize it and use it to find out what the popular sites are and make recommendations. But the fact is, unless you clear your history out or turn it off or do incognito, every website you go to can potentially access your browsing history. So this is not a huge privacy violation. In fact, it's better than normal browsing because you have control over it. And you've got a privacy policy to point to in the extension. So I'd be curious what it came up to with, because like you, Veronica, and like you, Sarah, we all browse for work. So we want it to show us fun stuff, not more work stuff, right?
It would have to learn.
Well, and even if you weren't using the web, maybe as much as we are, just researching stories that we have a vested interest in because it's, job related more than just fun related. But how many times do you use the web to look up one very, very random piece of information? Like, who sang that song? It's like that's something that you're interested in for a very short period of time. You don't actually need that to become any sort of common thread going forward. So it will be interesting to see if Lumi can somehow filter out what it considers one-offs versus what it considers, oh, there's a trend because Sarah just really likes stories about Facebook or Nike or cats. Exactly. Those are the 3 things I like the most.
Yeah. Yours will be full of, both of yours will be full of cats. You know that.
Yes, both of ours will be full of cats.
Let's talk about Steam Big Picture. It's been in beta since September, and it's now out. Plus the big sale going on. Steam says, look, if you want to take advantage of this thing, 30 games with controller support discounted to celebrate things like Left 4 Dead, Counter-Strike, Global Offensive, Braid and Shank 2, all there. It allows you, if you don't know, to hook up Steam to your television and have a television-friendly interface on that big, large screen. Use your game controller, and it throws in a web browser as well. Veronica, you've been using it?
No, I haven't actually used it yet. I was going to download it last night, and then I got so sucked into Guild Wars 2 that I didn't bother. But so I'm really excited about this because one of the big complaints against PC gaming is that you don't have that couch big screen TV experience that you have with an Xbox 360 or a PlayStation 3 or a Nintendo Wii. And so you're kind of, you sit here, I've got my chair, I've got my desk, I've got my monitor, and that has always kind of been the PC gaming experience. But now they're making it really, really easy to play those games that you've invested a lot of time in and all those friends that you've made on Steam, because I mean, it is a huge platform and there's so many millions upon millions of people there. It's nice to have that one kind of integrated friend list and bring it to the comfortable living room. So I'm super excited about it. I'm glad that you can use your Xbox 360 controllers, or you can still continue to use a mouse and a keyboard, which a lot of people prefer. So I think it's going to be a pretty big hit, and it's really easy to set up. I mean, all you really need is HDMI.
Yeah, if you have HDMI out on your computer, you're golden. Of course, if you don't, you might have to upgrade your video card, whatever, or buy a new box. I definitely think this is one of those pieces that points towards Steam creating some kind of game console or some kind of living room product. The fact that they've been also developing for Linux and pushing Linux gaming. Sarah, don't you think this is another step along the road to Linux coming out, or I'm sorry, to Steam coming out with some kind of Linux-based product for your living room?
It does appear that way. I mean, yeah, that's what it seems like to me. Baby steps, I guess.
Yeah, it's little signposts along the road.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. That's what it seems like without, obviously the company saying anything specifically. It would make sense.
You can browse cute animals on your television from within Steam.
They call it first-person browsing, which I think is really clever. That's a really fun way to put it. But I don't know if they're going to go with a set-top box because, I mean, with the way that our home theaters are working now, a lot of people already have an Apple TV set up, and if they do, make this work for Macs, which they're saying they're going to do, you already have that on your home theater setup. And also, they're trying to figure out some stuff where you can use your TV as your second screen, and so then if you have that connected with your laptop or your PC, then it doesn't even need a second box. You already have it right there. So I don't know if we need another set-top box. I think that's something I'd rather move away from. I mean, I already have a computer. I already have a laptop. It'd be easier for me to just hook it up to my TV. I
could see Steam wanting to do it to reach out to those people who still want game consoles. I don't think Steam's going to abandon the PC platform or the Mac platform. I think what they would like is for you to use Steam while you're at your desktop PC, use it on your laptop, and also have something in your living room. So you're just living and playing in the Steam universe all the time. That's where I think some kind of console or set-top might fit in. I know a lot is going on at Le Web there in Paris, Sarah Lane. So I don't know. Did you actually get a chance to hear Alex Lung talk about the new SoundCloud?
Well, you know, I happened to be lucky enough to sit next to him at dinner the other night. So yeah, I got a little bit of a preview about what's new with SoundCloud. And SoundCloud has been a real I don't want to say mainstay because Le Web hasn't going on that long, but SoundCloud is particularly in Europe a very much sort of like a golden child company. They're part of that Berlin startup scene that's sort of exploding. Each year it sounds like, it just gets bigger and bigger. It's very cheap and create a lot of creative types are moving to Berlin and moving headquarters. So yeah, I mean, SoundCloud, it always has a lot of buzz here. Of
course, as we mentioned in the news feeds, new redesign has curated discovery, has a new feature that uses an algorithm to suggest related sounds. So whether it's music or whether it's talk or sound effects or whatever, it finds things that are similar or at least related. Puts in more social networking sharing specifically with Facebook, but they also mentioned that they'll have other access to other social networks and reposts, kind of like a retweet. So if you like a particular SoundCloud posting, you can then share it with other people. Now, Lung said sound will be bigger than video online. Veronica, what do you think? Do you agree?
I would like to agree. I think that the points that they make are very accurate in that, you can listen to audio while you're doing other things. And also it's a lot easier to post and host audio than it is video sometimes. I'm kind of blown away by how well SoundCloud has done. I mean, I've known about it for years and years and years, and I've used it occasionally, but I didn't realize what a huge community of audio nerds have grown up around this platform, and particularly for musicians. I thought that the ability to comment within the waveform was kind of like, kind of faddish. I didn't think it was really going to take off, but it's been working very well for them. So that's awesome. I wish that you didn't have to, I mean, this is obvious, but you do have to pay for the hosting after a certain point. I think it's after like 200 downloads or something like that of an audio file. So that's kind of a downer, but I understand they're a business. They need to make money. That's how it works. That's one of the reasons why I haven't moved like some of my audio podcasts over there, just because I think there's like a time limit or a size limit or something like that. But I definitely want to explore it more because I think they're adding so many great social features to it and it is really growing. And I think that's good for people who are into audio.
It does seem like SoundCloud.
I do. I think go ahead, Tom.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, when you think about the idea of like sound being bigger than video, well, I mean, we're all three in the podcasting business, and we know that sometimes people can't commit to video, but audio is an easier commitment because you can be doing other things or there's less bandwidth, and there's all sorts of reasons for that. But then, especially with a lot of these social tools, SoundCloud really kind of wants to get into the viral game as well. You want to be these sounds, these audio recordings to be shared on a more massive scale. And that's why I get a little bit confused, because that's where video works so well. Because you have this whole visual medium that is appealing, and you strip that out, and it's like, well, that funny guy on the tractor who falls on the ground. Like, it's like you don't have any of those visual cues. So for musicians, for people who are in the audio business as their livelihood, I can see this being really great. But for the average person who's like, well, okay, SoundCloud, I understand what that's all about. Is it really for me? I'm not sure a lot of these social tools are going to appeal to them.
Yeah, they have a different model than, say, a YouTube, where they're not putting pre-roll ads in front of your audio, but maybe for podcasting and things that would be a good opportunity for them to do. But I like you guys. I'm impressed with SoundCloud's ability to persist, to build slowly, to make a business out of something, and not just be a fad, not just come and go. They've really done audio right, and they've served their markets very smartly. I'm a big admirer of what Alex Lung has done with SoundCloud. I'm also a big admirer of a great rage fit from Sarah Lane, which is what she promised we would get with this last story.
Well, okay, I'm going to try to control myself so that I don't end the job and the show on a bad note. However, All right, so here's what got me all fired up earlier. Ashton Kutcher, we know, is going to be portraying Steve Jobs in a version of his life, which is not to be confused with the biopic that Aaron Sorkin is working on. The Aaron Sorkin biopic is based on the Walter Isaacson book, Steve Jobs. So that is one version of a movie that we're going to see in the future. The Ashton Kutcher version, who will be playing Jobs, is going to be screened on January 27th, 2013, which is the closing night in Sundance at the Sundance Film Festival. We now have our first promotional image of the movie, Ashton Kutcher as Steve Jobs. Okay, that's okay. First of all,
I got nothing. Sorry.
That's the thing that bothers me. Like, first, I look at this and I'm like, he's trying to make Steve Jobs sexy in this picture, and that just fills me with rage, uncontrollable rage. Like, get off that damn desk, sit down.
That is a picture. I'm pretty sure that is a recreation of a picture.
It's an exact recreation, actually. I'll continue to look for it.
But don't use, I don't know. There's just something about, I don't know. It's Ashton Kutcher specifically, I think, that's filling me with rage. Also,
can't handle smolder eyes.
I can't handle them. Also,
Ashton can't help that his eyes are sexy. Come on, Sarah. Give him a break.
But that's why I don't want him playing this man. Like, just stop. Also, okay, so there are a few more details, just if you didn't already know them. The movie, which was initially announced back in April, so we've known this for a while. I've had time to deal with this. I'm still obviously not coming to terms with it yet. But it covers the 30 years of Steve Jobs' life from 1971 through 2000. So it's not obviously going to, it'll cut off at a certain point. So this is when he was working at Apple, first time around, Next, Pixar. And the movie is called Jobs, Little J, Big O, Big B, Big S. Okay, that just kills me. I hate it. I hate everything about that. I don't even look at it. It's hard for me to look. I hate it.
Why?
Little
That's
J?
really bad. That's terrible.
Why did they do that?
It's not even a thing.
No, it's not.
It's not a thing.
Because iOS. Because it's stupid. Because it's dumb. That's why they did it.
Could they just not get the rights to iJobs? Oh, okay. So we found a link to the actual picture. In fact, Steve may be striking a little sexier pose than Ashton now that he's got a silk shirt on. Ashton just looks like he has a regular shirt on.
Just soak it in.
Sorry, audio listeners. You'll have to find the link in the show notes. Make sure we save that.
Yeah, no, it's in the show notes already.
Good. Yeah, so I am looking forward to seeing Ashton Kutcher's portrayal. I think he looks a little like Steve Jobs. I don't have the same gut reaction as Sarah. But I do agree with you on the name. Like, why could they just not get the rights to iJobs? And that's why they just decided, well, we'll make the J little. It'll be our new thing. Or just
call it anything else.
Yeah.
Just call it anything else. Anything.
Anything but that. It makes it so cutesy and just, ugh. It's just,
you know who would hate that?
Already.
You know who would hate that? Steve Jobs.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly
Steve Jobs
right.
Hate that.
He would say it was a bunch of, you know what. Let's move on to the randomizer.
Randomizer.
Before we start quoting Steve Jobs. Yeah, this was far and away one of the favorite stories on our subreddit today, technewstoday.reddit.com. Data from NASA's Voyager 1 probe indicates the spacecraft has moved into an unexpected region of the outer solar system, which they've been waiting for it to finally leave the solar system for a while. Like, it's left the photosphere. It's encountered the place where the solar wind meets opposition from outside. But it looks like they're in something called a magnetic highway, at least that's what they're calling it, which allows high-energy charged particles from ancient supernova explosions to move into the sun's sphere of influence and lower-energy particles to move out into deep space. This is exciting because we've been waiting for the first man-made object to leave the solar system, and so we've been waiting for scientists to say that this is the boundary line. This is where it leaves. I'm the only one that's excited. Yay! Goodbye, Voyager.
No, it's exciting. I just don't really understand what's happening.
They're leaving the solar system, so they're
leaving the solar system. Okay.
Yeah.
I saw John Scalzi and Phil Plait talking about this earlier, and I was like, wow, that sounds interesting. I don't know what that means.
there'll be a point where it'll be definitely certain that it's outside the solar system.
Okay.
And there was a point where it was definitely certain it was inside. But the definition of like where, there's not a big line in the sky out there or in space. So they're trying to figure out like, okay, what is the definition of the end of the solar system, actually? It's pretty fascinating. And it's fascinating to me that 35 years later, this thing is still transmitting useful data that's helping new science. That's amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
11 billion miles. We got a big solar system.
Yeah, all my road trips feel really small now.
Every time I listen
them to be careful. It's like we don't know the other solar system well enough. Be careful out there.
Yeah, seriously.
My brain starts to hurt, and then I start getting overwhelmed and upset when I start thinking about the immensity of the universe. I get like my heart just like swells, and I feel like a speck.
Well, let me help calm you down with something simple, okay? Our sponsor, Ring Central. Because you know what makes people's head hurts? What makes people's head hurt is thinking about installing a big complicated telephone system with a PBX in the basement and all that stuff. So, of course, as we've mentioned, Leo didn't want to do that. And Russell, our IT guy, said, why don't you get a cloud-based phone system through Ring Central? And as we've mentioned, it was a no-brainer. We love Ring Central. Zero startup costs, no hardware to install or maintain in the basement, no PBX hardware. Ring Central allows us to easily customize all of our call handling. Producers can get their voicemail in your email. And you can even get all your fax messages right on your smartphone. If you're one of those people like me is like, oh, fax, talk about making your head hurt. I have to fax. Now I got to go down to some, Staples or FedEx place to get it to. No, you don't have to do that. You can get fax messages right on your smartphone. Ring Central offers all-inclusive pricing as low as $20 a month per user. And you can start right now with a 30-day risk-free trial and get a special offer for our listeners. When you buy one desk phone, you get a second phone free up to 20 phones. So call this number, designated for our listeners, 800-543-9980. That's 800-543-9980. Again, 800-543-9980. Or you can also go to ringcentral.com and use the promo code TWiT. If your office is looking for an easier way to install a phone system, try it out. Ring Central. You're going to love it. Ringcentral.com. We thank them for their support of Tech News Today. Can you see the calendar all the way from Paris?
It's so weird. The calendar appears to be universal, at least within this galaxy. So yes, I can see it. That's a little bit later, though. After a 7-year run, Verizon is pulling its plug on Verizon Video Service. December 15th will be the final screenings of Verizon Video. So get them in while you can.
And that's the calendar.
That's pretty much it. It was kind of short calendar today.
Yeah, it's not much. We got more coming, though. Don't you worry. That's, that's Steve Jobs' movie in January, for instance.
Okay, that's quite enough.
Let's see what's incoming, shall we?
Incoming message.
Hey, we got an email from Alan who says, just a thought on this story. Maybe it's a very creative Machiavellian PR campaign. You want to grab a couple good headlines on tech sites.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's the Made in the USA story. He's one of the people who put the subject line, topic in the subject line, and I forgot to copy it over.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I should have said that off the top, or probably didn't make any sense. Everyone at home's like, what story? Okay, so if you want to grab a couple good headlines, says Alan, on tech sites, so you don't announce the switch to assembly happening in the US of A, and you're confident that some tech site is then going to discover it and then enjoy this sort of PR push as the story gets traction. If you simply announce the change, the Apple haters would harp about what a low percentage of units were actually affected by it, or snark how this was just a PR move. This way you can bask in the good PR while neutering the haters.
When I started reading Alan's email this morning, I was thinking, if you're going to do PR, you do PR. But when I got to the end of it, I realized he might have something there. Because if they did come out and say, well, we've done a small percentage, you do invite people saying, well, why a small percentage? Whereas if you just don't say anything, all of a sudden people are like, well, that's interesting. What is that? And that's how Apple has always won by saying less. You know what I mean? Got an email here.
Yeah, I think that's actually.
Yeah. Got an email here from Paul, who likes smartwatches. He says, I have the Motorola Moto Active, and although it checks and updates my Twitter and Facebook and gives me weather, I like it for other reasons. It works with his Bluetooth headphones, works with his phone. If his phone rings, his watch tells him who's calling. He can answer or reject directly from the watch. He can use the watch to listen to updates. It has GPS, which tracks his bike rides. A little big for small wrists, but it also comes with a clip, and there's an armband available for it. And if you're a serious runner or biker, you can hook up a heart monitor to it wirelessly. It's a pretty powerful little device with a great full-color touchscreen. So there you go. Veronica,
I'm sure I will see many wonderful smartwatches at CES this year.
Oh,
I look forward to it.
I'm almost certain we will. Well, that's it for this episode of Tech News Today. Veronica, thanks so much for joining us. Let folks know, besides swordandlaser.com, which I've beat into the ground that we co-host together, what else is going on you want to talk about?
Sure. Still doing Techzilla every week over at revision3.com/Techzilla. Recently launched a new show over on Revision 3 on their Tech Feed YouTube channel. It's called Fact or Fictional. We look at all the cool tech and science from your favorite TV shows, movies, and video games. And, of course, Sword and Laser and, all the great stuff that we're doing over on Geek and Sundry.
Yep. It's fun. Good times.
Good times.
What do we have the kickoff of The Hobbit coming up this week, right?
Yes, we do. Yeah, Friday. That should be up.
That's our December book pick, so check it out. Also got interviews with Paul Cornell, Joe Abercrombie coming up. That's it for this episode of Tech News Today, though. Thanks for submitting stories at our subreddit. technewstoday.reddit.com helps us figure out what stories we want to cover each and every day on Tech News Today. If you want to be on Tech News Today, we're doing our open mic show again this year. So submit. We're going to record the show Monday, December 17th at 9 a.m. Pacific time. If that time works for you and you're interested, email tnt@twit.tv with the subject line Open Mic 2012. Let us know what you do and why you'd like to take part. We won't be able to choose everyone. We always get many more people who want to be on than we can accommodate. But if you're interested, let us know, and we'd love to hear from you. That's it for us. You can find us on the web, twit.tv/TNT. You can email us, tnt@twit.tv, or give us a call, leave us a voicemail, 260-TNT-SHOW. We will be back tomorrow. So will I as Akhtar.
Hey.
See you then.
Don't fall out of your chair.
Got a little wild there at the end.